You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and we've got a great guest this week, and he happens to have, in my opinion, one of the best names in all of themed entertainment. His park, Kennywood, he's actually the director of corporate communications for Palace Entertainment, but he spent a long time at Kennywood. Kennywood, late last week, had a big announcement for some multi-year, multi-million dollar improvements and plans. And so he is kind enough to come on our podcast and talk about it a little bit. Please welcome to the podcast, Nick Paradise. Nick, how's it going?
Hey, Andrew, it's great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. This is it's been a big year for Kennywood, obviously, emerging out of whatever we want to call 2020 as an overall year. But let's get right into it. The 2021 season at Kennywood, you guys had a great season. Obviously, there was a new Halloween event. You're right in the middle or towards the end of your holiday lights this year. What can you tell us about, how 2021 was at Kennywood?
Yeah, 2021, it really has been a fantastic year. Summer, fall, and now into the holidays here. It's been really refreshing, a breath of fresh air, obviously. A great deal of challenges in 2020. We all faced them. We all went through them. And we made it through the other side. But we looked at this year and the ability to get back to some sense of normalcy. And that's what we were really eager to do. And, we look at the role of an amusement park and the role of Kennywood. It's to provide fun. It's to provide an escape from, the challenges that the regular life deals all of us. And, we really were much more able to do that this year. And people were, very much, and I think it was seen, not just at Kennywood, but everywhere, very eager to get back and enjoy some of those fun experiences, fun traditions that they had last year. So it was a really strong season. It started out, very early with the second month in June when we launched the Bites and Pints Food and Drink Festival. It's the first time we'd done a themed event like that at Kennywood. It was really such a great time. It went so well, frankly, that we extended it into one more extra weekend for the 4th of July. We didn't have fireworks on the docket like we normally did for the 4th. So we said, well, people have loved this event. And it was what it was, and 7 different stations around our lagoon area of different cuisines, ethnic cuisines. We had Caribbean, Chinese, Japanese, French, German, a couple others. And you had bites and pints, and, different food options, snacks, desserts, and then drinks, whether it was beer or wine or specialty cocktails. And it was just really well received. It's something we haven't done in the past, but the response was great. We partnered with a local chef from here in Pittsburgh, and it was more ambitious and bigger than anything we'd done at the park before. And it was just a fantastic response. So that really sprung, kind of launched us into what ended up becoming a better and better year. We're able to go from, initially we planned very conservatively because we didn't know what it was going to be like. And with the demand that we saw, we were able to expand. We kept on adding days and getting up to daily operation, adding more hours, not getting quite back to 2019 levels, but getting closer. And, we just look to continue that forward. You mentioned we launched a new Halloween event where we combined what we'd done in the past with Phantom Fright Nights at night and a Happy Hauntings event during the day for kids, and merged that into one event called Phantom Fall Fest. And I think just that, more consistent messaging and communication and marketing of not just that event, but a lot of what we've done at Kennywood. I think it made things make sense and be easier for people to understand, and thus, more when they got it, they were much more eager to come out and enjoy it. But also doing things like, greater emphasis on just guest experience and what the guests are saying about their time at the park and what they're saying before or after they come or why they're not coming. And just listening a lot more, and then, having that impact, what we do in our operations, not just current, and in the 2021 season, but going forward into 2022. So it's been a great year. And it's really, just the first start, of kind of this turning this corner into a bright future for the park.
I love it. And then, little inside baseball. I'm sitting here talking to you on Zencaster. I'm seeing the Christmas tree in your background. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about how holiday lights at Kennywood is going and how the reception has been this year.
Yeah, it's gone really well. I think the biggest thing that we've changed this year was just adding hours. We previously it was a 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., just a 4 hour event, and it was all we always heard great things, but felt like there was more there. More bites of the apple that maybe we weren't getting, and so one of the things that we changed was offering more hours. So initially we just added 1 hour on the back end to stay open until 10 o'clock. And that's all a nice response, but it's still, they decided after 2 weeks, we now are opening on Saturdays and Sundays at 3 o'clock for this event. So it's kind of the same thing that we've done with Halloween, where we're starting it earlier and we're offering just more time. And that right away, we saw we're getting, much better crowds. And it's giving people more time to enjoy things. So even if you have that, 50, that random that we get in Pittsburgh, sometimes that random 55-degree December night that people want to come out, but then that's the night where it's really busy. But now when you're open for 7 hours instead of 4, it spreads everything out that much more. And conversely, some of those nights where maybe it's not so warm, not so nice weather-wise, well, you can go out, you can go at the start of the day, during the day when it's still light out, it's still a little warmer, and maybe then you're already there. You say, oh, it's actually not that bad, and you stick around more. Whereas before you were, you didn't want to go because it was by the time you decide whether it's warm enough or cold enough, the event's almost, it feels like it's too late because you're only going to get a few hours. So that's been a big thing. And the other thing we did is just make our food more of the attraction during Fall Fest, Phantom Fall Fest, and Holiday Lights. So, we did a little bit before, but I think to a much greater degree this year, where seasonal, fall only or Christmas time only food options are available that create, a reason to visit and reason to try it all their own. Certainly the line for the potato patch is just as busy those times of years in the summer, but there's more there, and greater variety. And that's been something that's been really well received. So we'll look to continue that going forward. And it's been, it's just been really encouraging. When we started the year, like I said, conservatively, we didn't even have officially, whether we were going to do Halloween and Christmas operations, because you just didn't know what the year was going to look like. But, it did pretty quickly become apparent, the demand was there, the conditions were okay. And, we were able to add those on, and we've been very thankful that we were able to do that. And I think our guests have been thankful as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you just activated some weird Pavlov's dog thing when you said potato patch. Like, my mouth immediately began to water. So I just now need to get up to Pittsburgh again and get those potato patch fries. But towards the end of the season, you guys have already kind of began work for next year. And there's a couple of ongoing projects that, if you've been following along on Kennywood on social media, we've been writing about it on Coaster101.com. There's a large roller coaster or two that are currently being painted in your park. What can you tell us about this, the Phantom project?
Yeah, so the Phantom project is almost over. It's pretty close to being in the past tense. So we, for the first time, in 2 decades since the Seal Phantom became the Phantom's Revenge, that ride's getting a whole new paint job, and it was really neat. And I give so much credit to all the team there, from the operations side and also the marketing side. Those crafty coaster and amusement park fans out there that spotted some swatches of paint on a little stretch of the Phantom towards the end of the summer. That once that hit social media and we saw the chatter around it, and the light bulb went off of, hey, why don't we let people decide what color would they like to see it? And so we put that up to a vote. And, I think the purple, the Petrifying Purple, was the winner by a landslide, and that was, like I said before, that's one of the things where we want to, and we're so fortunate in Kennywood, and in Pittsburgh, that we, are able to have the place play the role and be in the position that we are in the region, where people just care very, very much. I mean, we say, it doesn't matter who on a piece of paper or a legal contract owns Kennywood, it belongs to the people of Pittsburgh, and that's the kind of thing that as a native, like, it gives me goosebumps still when I say that, because and it's so totally true. And so, we want to hear that voice, and we want to, kind of capitalize on that and let them have a say. And so, you know, the people decided what color the Phantom would be. It looks, good coincidence for me. I was hoping for the purple as well. It looks great. They're basically just finishing up the lift hill now. They're almost done, and that was really important. And I was kind of amazed that they're able to continue to, they're working painting Monday through Friday, and then Friday night it's opening for Phantom Fall Fest all through the weekend. So credit to the Bainham painting crew, but we really needed them to get on that project ASAP and get it finished, because, right, like you said, the Thunderbolt is painting is ongoing, and that's progressing well. But we got two more, because we're also going to be doing a full repaint on the Jackrabbit and the Racer. And so we're going to have four roller coasters at Kennywood, and everyone's got a different list and different ranking, but I don't think anybody would argue those are four of Kennywood's most enduring and popular rides that are all going to look, shiny, brand new, come, when guests visit for the first time in 2022. And that's really exciting.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you about that. So that it genuinely was a fan vote. Like, you guys, you could have gone purple, or I don't even remember the other color at this point, but it was a fan vote. You weren't just going to paint it purple regardless of what the people said.
No, and the other color was a teal, so it pretty much would have been, a refresh of the original paint job for the Phantom, Phantom's Revenge, and so no, it was we did eliminate blue. So the first when those swatches appeared, it was purple, blue, and teal, and so we said, let's just narrow it down to two, and those were the two that we preferred. But then it was fully, hey, let people vote, and you can vote once per day. So if folks want to stuff the ballot box, go ahead. And, we did allow our staff to vote, but they didn't get an extra vote from anybody else. So I think we said there was about 12,000 votes in that contest. So,
wow.
You see the appetite that's there, that just in a handful of days, to, have the voice heard. And so it was really rewarding to be able to do that. We since did that a couple other times, and we're going to continue doing that. That's part of the initiatives, this winter going into 2022, is to give people the opportunity as we, kind of reposition the park for its, as it heads into its 125th year in 2023, for it to get some new looks, but in a way that is what aligns with what people kind of want from the park.
Yes. And, you mentioned the enduring attractions of Jackrabbit and the Racer and Thunderbolt and Phantom's Revenge. But if we're going to talk about enduring attractions, we have to, and also to that point, the fan interaction, we have to talk about the return of the Kangaroo. Obviously, beginning of 2021, it was announced that the Kangaroo would be retired along with a couple other attractions. But then you guys kind of out of left field, you just had this announcement that said, hey, something's big is coming. The Kangaroo is coming back. You're working with Premier Rides to kind of bring it back to life. But how was that decision made? Was it based on kind of fan feedback, or how did you guys decide to go from retirement to refurbishment in just about a year?
Sure. Yeah. It was a tough spot, last year when we made that announcement that the ride would be coming out, and I can sit here and say it now, that, when I learned the news myself, it was a bit of a stomach punch. I was not expecting it. And it is a ride that, carries a lot of personal connection to me, along with just the professional affiliation and, appreciation of the attraction. But, it had, it's a nearly 60-year-old attraction, and there's a reason that it was the only one still in operation for that type of ride. And so you have some of those challenges. You have the complications that 2020 put upon everything, and the squeeze that it put upon everything. And, that led to a tough decision. And certainly, we recognize it was met with a great deal of outcry and unhappy folks, not just locally in Pittsburgh, but people that appreciate the business in the industry and, kind of celebrate when you have those unique attractions, whether it's a Kennywood or other places. And so we definitely heard that. It wasn't the only factor, but it was certainly part of the equation. And as we looked at, okay, Um, you know, 2021's been a good year. It's been an encouraging year. We think we can get back to adding rides. It's always, it's always a big part, no matter if it's Kennywood or any park. Bringing in new things is part of the name of the game in this business. And so we looked at like, okay, what are the options? And, we looked at, okay, we could bring in this, new attraction, a new attraction to the park, or, we have this option. The team knew, um, you know, there wasn't any rush to make a permanent decision, I should say, last year. We didn't want to, we've kind of been down that road with some rides here at Kennywood in the past of, leaving the impression that it may be going away, but it's going to come back. And then, that doesn't all, if you can't pay that off, you just kind of end up shooting yourself in the foot there. So we didn't want to make any upfront commitment. Last year, and it would have been way premature to do something like that. But at the same time, it wasn't, we're not rushing to do anything with this attraction. And so we kind of kept it tucked away and talked to some folks about, what it might take to get it back online. And then as we look at, the capital planning for 2022, okay, there's, here's our option is something new, or maybe, something reborn. And we obviously knew what the market was, we knew what the voice of the public was. And we did, not just the what are people saying on social media, because obviously that can skew things, because, we've all seen in many cases where you have that vocal voice on social that maybe doesn't reflect the general population, but also more diligent surveying and, trying to just, hear that voice maybe of people that aren't as willing to say it on social media. So, but we did that, and it came back, and you look at the cost versus benefit of a new attraction, or the cost versus benefit of a returning attraction. And we felt like, what, this is the way to go. And it is in line with the brand of Kennywood to, that's always going to be part of the DNA of the park is, this National Historic Landmark, these rare attractions that you can't find anywhere else. And that's what the team decided to do. And, not just bring it back, but add, some extra flourishes and extra character, that really celebrated as such a unique attraction. And even, years before any of this was on the table, I always love to talk about it, because it was to me one of the dark horse rides of the park, not just from a personal standpoint, but also, when I'm talking about trying to pitch the park to, media maybe in, outside of the market that are, hey, why would you consider a trip to Kennywood, or why, if you're considering a trip to Pittsburgh, should Kennywood be a part of it? And I always love to talk about that ride. Yes, there's the roller coasters. There's always the highlights and the headlines. But if you want a ride or two that really encapsulates what's unique about Kennywood, it's yes, it's the Jackrabbit and Phantom and Thunderbolt, obviously, but it's also Noah's Ark. It's also the Kangaroo, and a few other rides as well that you just can't find everywhere else. It all comes together, to create that full package.
Yeah. And it was another fan interaction. You guys had what I believe was called the retro theme and then the vintage theme. Mm-hmm. As I was learning more about this, I learned that those two words had different meanings, which was always fun. Did you have a particular favorite, and do you think the right theme won?
Yeah, that's funny. Because, it was, as they were, the two themes were presented internally. And the folks on the marketing side that were talking about that were kind of positioning it as, well, this is the one, this type A was classic, but this classic one, this is the one I think is going to win. This is one we think is going to be the most popular. But this one, this vintage one, is the one I like. This is the marketing director talking. And I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I really actually like the vintage one more than the classic. But we'll see what turns out in terms of which one wins. And lo and behold, it was it was a landslide, and it was a landslide for the vintage one that we weren't so sure was going to get that widespread appeal. But I think that one, won out because it just felt more whimsical and more kind of lighthearted. Yeah, and so that was again where through coincidence and not any pulling of the strings behind the scenes, that the one that I think the majority of our team internally wanted to win ended up winning. Now my son was a little disappointed. He actually liked the classic one more, but he'll get over it.
Yeah, I think I might be. I'm okay with it. I did vote, but I did lose in a landslide. I'm going to deal with it. I'm excited to get back up there and see the new paint scheme, the new LED lights, all that good stuff that's going to bring the Kangaroo back to life. So kudos to you guys for kind of listening to those opinionated fans online and the ones who aren't as online. But thank you from a theme park fan for making the effort to bring it back.
Yeah, I definitely thank the fact that the people at all levels of the organization were willing to listen and consider a different path. And yeah, it's cool, and it's going to be neat to see that ride, the lighting package, the lighting structure behind the ride that's was very similar to what it had when it first opened in the '60s. Get restored in an all new way. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We won't. I know we're not going to be able to do. There's going to be things that whether they happen in the past or the present or the future where they might generate an outcry and people want to do it a different way or change your minds. And it can't always. It's not always going to happen. But in this one instance here, it was nice to see. It was exciting and it was fun to do. It was fun to be part of.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, speaking of things you're excited to be a part of, you mentioned earlier that Kennywood is coming up on their 125th anniversary in 2023. And last Thursday, you announced, or the park announced, you assisted in the announcement with the park that the celebration is too big for just 1 year, and you're getting kind of a jump on the 125th anniversary early.
Yeah, yeah. As we sit here, we just celebrated. Actually, we just passed Kennywood's birthday. It's December 18th. That's the first time in 1898. The Pittsburgh Daily Post had a little blurb about plans for a new amusement park out in West Mifflin, overlooking the Monongahela River and the Edgar Thomson Steel Works that's still there. And so that was the first date. And it's kind of funny because there's always the anniversary, the birthday versus the season. But 2023 will be both the park's 125th birthday and 125th operating season. And so, we're going into this. We had plans to really, do this revisioning and revitalization of a lot of the different parts of Kennywood and just refresh the park. I mean, it's the same mindset that has us repainting 4 roller coasters, but just expanded to the parking lots and the entrance plaza and facades for some of the rides or some of the buildings and different signage and just creating kind of a consistent branding throughout the park, and trying to do that, and looking at it like, okay, this is the marketing looking for that message point, and this is a big deal, and this is going to be 20. I actually like to say that 2021 has really been year one of that, with a greater focus on guest experience, the launch of the Bites and Pints Food Festival, and the launch of a new Halloween event. And it's gonna, but 2022 is when it's going to really pick up with obviously the Kangaroo coming back better than ever, and also all this investment to enhance the park. I mean, millions and millions of dollars that are going to go into just making Kennywood feel like a more welcoming and inviting place from the minute you turn into the parking lot, until you walk out, through the tunnel at night on your way home, just to feel, give the park some of that TLC that it needs, it deserves. And we did this at Lake Compounce, speaking from a larger company-wide perspective for a minute for Palace Entertainment. We did this at Lake Compounce. Lake Compounce turned 175 this year. It's the oldest amusement park in America. And, what better way to celebrate, that landmark birthday than with, a whole new look for the park. And so it was this kind of the same idea. We don't want to just totally upend and turn it into something unrecognizable, but how do we build upon what's made this park great and beloved, but fresher and a little bolder and a little more exciting and inviting, and just create a better, all those things that maybe they're not as immediate as this brand new ride might be, but they're a big part of the experience that you get when you get anywhere, because you want to, that's the warm fuzzies that any attraction like ours wants to create in people as they come through the door. And so we did that at Lake Compounce this year, and now we're looking forward to it happening at Kennywood, and we're hope to be able to do it and look forward to being able to do this similar thing at some other parks within the Palace portfolio as time goes on, and we just grow as an organization, in a really new and exciting way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm reading through the announcement from last Thursday as we're talking here, and there's queue improvements to both the Old Mill and the Jackrabbit. There's some food and beverage enhancements. I know there's a certain subset of theme park fan who is very excited to hear there is a redesigned beer garden coming to Kennywood.
Yes. Yes, beer jail. We've already tore down beer jail. I know that's the some of the way that it's been called. But we were able to, even with Bites and Pints, we were able to revisit that, and expand our licensing, that we don't have to have quite the level of restriction. Pennsylvania is always an interesting state when it comes to some of those regulations, but we were able to work through some of that, and I know people will enjoy it. I guess it made the long line, sometimes you encounter on those busy summer days, a little more palatable when you can enjoy it with a frozen hurricane or something like that in your hand. So a revitalized beer garden is one of the concepts that we showed off, and there's going to be more to come, a lot more to come for food and beverage and throughout the park.
That's very cool. And then you guys you're kind of expanding that Bites and Pints after a successful first year. It's now going to be 4 days a week, larger menu, bringing back some 2021 favorites, but a new menu, all sorts of things like that. So that's, I need to get to Kennywood next year to experience this. So I'm marking these dates on my calendar right now.
That sounds awesome, like a plan for sure. I mean, that's kind of what we wanted to do, is whether you can make it up then or not. But here in Pittsburgh, we've got the Kennywood traditions of the school picnic days, and it's when we have people come in from other regions and things like that, that are still like kind of fascinated by how we continue to do school picnics here. And it's just, we say in Pittsburgh, the saying is, how many Pittsburghers does it take to change a light bulb? And it's one to change the bulb and one to talk about how great the old one was. And that we see that as, I've heard stories about a new superintendent might come in from outside the area to a school, and they try to scrap the Kennywood day, and the community turns out in force to express why they do not want that to happen. And as we continue to preserve and nurture those school days, it's also about we don't want people to just look at it as one and done. We want to give people reasons to visit all year long, and so starting from our opening day in April to the very end of Holiday Lights, different unique events on the calendar. We're still fleshing out a lot of the details, like when it comes to the springtime kickoff, or we want to do something in July that is a lot of extra family and children's activities, but also really leverages the park after dark, because amusement parks under the lights are always really neat and special, and that's been a long part of Kennywood's appeal for generations. And now it's been missed for, not just in 2020, but also 2021, because we just weren't able to get quite back from a scheduling standpoint yet. But, we'll get back to 10 o'clock and maybe even some later closes next summer, and be able to do some more things under the lights, that not just offering the standard nighttime experience, but maybe even a little more above and beyond that. So, we're really excited to not just have a second year of Bites and Pints, but expand our events calendar in a way that we've never done here before.
Yeah, and you and I were talking kind of before we started recording. You've got more operating days in 2022 than you guys had even before COVID in 2019. So it's going to be a huge year at Kennywood for sure.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. We look to get back to that daily operation and have the schedule like we did, but then we've also added adding more days for Phantom Fall Fest in the Halloween season, adding more days for Holiday Lights at Christmas time, and expanding the hours for both. And so when you look at it, I think all in all, you're gonna have more more time to visit, more time to have fun. Even little things like, sometimes we were maybe, we look to stick through for, when you have those, we have in Pittsburgh, sometimes those rain showers that come through maybe unnoticed or unexpected or, forecasted, and they come and they hit hard. It might be, rain a lot for a little bit and then dissipate. But we're going to sticking through. We already did this, these last 2 seasons and continue. We stick through those days a little bit more. So, if you're planning a day to Kennywood, we are going to do everything in our power to give you that full day to Kennywood, and give you a great experience, with the full experience that you want to get.
Love it. And then we do need to talk about another bit of fan interaction here. And this will drop on, let's see, I'm looking at a calendar. It will drop on Monday the 20th. So if you're listening to this the week prior to Christmas, if you're on the way to your in-laws' house or wherever you're going, be sure to go to kennywood.com/125-celebration. You have the opportunity to choose the new queue theme for the Jackrabbit. What can you tell us about these different queue options, Nick?
Yeah, so this is a thing that we're really excited about too, and it's actually an idea that's been tossed around for several years. So those that have been to the park, or you go to the website at kennywood.com and look at that wall as you get in line for the Jackrabbit. You're right next to the Penny Arcade, and so bordering the start of the line for Jackrabbit is a side wall of the Penny Arcade, and it's a big, huge mustard yellow wall, and that's all it is. And it's it doesn't have to just be a blank, this bland blank wall. We started thinking about it as this is a blank slate to create. And, what do we do to just make this more engaging and fun? I always loved the Jackrabbit. It was, one of my childhood favorites, because I always felt like no matter how long the line looked, it always moved. And, I still think it always does. So you never have to worry about waiting too long in there. But now, that people have something to engage and look at as they're waiting in line there. And so, it's enough space there that you're not limited to just one concept. So we'll have kind of, the plan is to have 3 different, kind of concepts. I don't want to call it, we refer to it as a collage. So it's kind of the idea and exactly what it's going to look like. Folks can see the rendering. It's just a concept, but you can see the idea that we're going for. And so we'll definitely have a space dedicated to the Jackrabbit. And maybe that's a, photo of what, the ride, one of the photos we have from the 1920s, or some, old advertising from that era. I know we have some, we were able to, when the Jackrabbit celebrated its 100th last year, I was able to work with some of the historians here in Pittsburgh to unearth some, coverage from, when it first opened in 1920. And, it's cool seeing the ads from 1920 of, how they message things and how much has changed and yet how much hasn't changed. So, we'll have some Jackrabbit dedicated things, but then the other 2 concepts, like with the Kangaroo, like with the Phantom, we want to hear what people would like to see on there. So, whether it's Kenny and friends, and some of the characters that have been a part of Kennywood over the years, special entertainment, the park is, had, of course, over 125 years, you have a lot of different kinds of entertainment, whether it's the people being shot out of cannons over the lagoon, or, the unicyclists or magic shows and whatever it may be. So, leveraging some of the fortunate to have such a great archive, not just internally at the park, but also like the community archives, and submissions that you see and that the Heinz History Center here in town has collected. There's rides, favorite rides that are still there, favorite rides that aren't there anymore, just a variety of different options. And so, people can vote for their favorites, and then, we're gonna go with those. We gave the concepts, and then we'll kind of draw, color in the lines of exactly what each concept ends up being for the winners. But it's just another great opportunity to let people have a say in what the park looks like in some way.
I love it. That's awesome. And I've while we were talking, I went in there and voted. I won't go in and tell you what I voted for, because every time I do that, I end up on the wrong side of the sticks. So,
well, you can vote once per day up until Christmas Eve. So you've got time to stack the deck if need be.
I love it.
And we're really excited about that. I encourage everybody to go to kennywood.com and cast a vote, because we'd love to hear from people.
Perfect.
And it won't.
And
This won't be the last. This won't be the last time either. We've got a few more. I won't give details, but we have a few more things in mind where we're going to open it up to community votes again.
very cool. That's awesome. And then, I wouldn't be an effective podcaster, and I'm fully expecting the answer you're going to give me. So I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Is there any sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge that you can give me about something else that may be coming to celebrate the 125th anniversary, or should I just stay tuned to Kennywood's social channels and website for more information as it becomes available?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing to do is make sure everybody's following us everywhere they can, right? Absolutely. Um, I can't. I don't have any specifics that I can share right now, Andrew. But what I
Understood.
would definitely say is that this is a multi-year celebration. 125 years for us is too big to contain it to just one season, and so that's why we said let's start the party early in 2022 and carry it forward, into 2023, maybe beyond. But the future is really bright. We're really excited and about what it holds, and not just from a this is what we want to do and this is what we're going to do standpoint, but this is what we have in mind, and let's hear from the customer, the guest as well, on what they think and what they'd like to see, and what meld of the two um, is ends up being the ideal course forward, and that we can make dreams come to life.
I love it. That was the answer I was expecting. So I appreciate you tolerating that and not
Like a
just
good
like
PR
hanging up the
guy,
call. I do have
yeah. No.
I have one last question for you, and then we'll
Sure.
go into the I want the season pass spiel where they can follow Kennywood and all that. My one last and arguably the most important question I have for you. If you're in line at the potato patch, what are your favorite toppings? What is your ideal order of potato patch fries?
I'm very straightforward. It's just it's bacon and cheese, and that's I mean that's where we go. I've dabbled sometimes with the seasons and salts and stuff like that, but I kind of figure once you got the bacon, you got the cheese, and anything more is just not needed. So yeah, I guess that makes me kind of standard because that's about what about half of the orders end up being at the patch every year. But there's nothing wrong with being part of the crowd in that regard.
I hear you. I love it. All right. We've talked for, 37 minutes at this point. Let's tell us where we can buy season passes, how much season passes are, where we can follow Kennywood on all the social medias. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so Kennywood.com is the place to go to buy the season pass. It's the only place you can go to buy a Kennywood season pass, and they are on sale right now. The best price is online. You can buy them at the park, I suppose, but you will pay a little more. So it's best to do that online. We have right now our gold pass available. So if people are listening on the 20th and 21st, and you're nearby, that gold or the platinum pass will get you into holiday lights both in 2021 and beyond. So really the gold and the platinum are the best value to get that full year of fun at Kennywood. And if you are not just in Pittsburgh and want the full works of Kennywood and then Sandcastle and Idlewild as well, but if you're somebody who is going to travel, whether you're in Pittsburgh and you're going to go to other places, or maybe you're up in New England near Lake Compounce, or in the Carolinas, close to Wet and Wild and Emerald Point. If you get a platinum season pass for any of our parks, it is valid at all of our parks. And so you can, those Kennywood folks can plan a pilgrimage to, whether it's to Wet and Wild or Lake Compounce or Noah's Ark in the Wisconsin Dells, or vice versa, to go and enjoy, a lot of different experiences. And while Kennywood is the flagship for Palace, we're trying to take a lot of these things that we're doing here, and we're doing them at those parks as well. That greater focus on guest experience, that creating more welcoming and inviting and fun atmospheres at the parks. And we're fortunate to have a few parks that are adding new attractions next year, and hopefully, as the years as time goes forward, we continue to come out of bounce back from the challenges the last couple of years have dealt us. That we'll be talking more and more about new additions to the Palace Group all around the board. So we're really excited about it and just appreciate everyone's support, past, present, and going forward into the future.
I love it. And when those future announcements come along the pipeline, you're welcome back anytime to come chat about them with us. So, Nick, really appreciate your time. I don't know if you mentioned, I don't think you mentioned the Kennywood socials. They're on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So on most of them, we are at Kennywood Park. The only one that's different, and that's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's TikTok, that is Snapchat. YouTube, it's actually Kennywood Official, so just look for that big gold arrow. And we've got a lot of fan accounts out there, which we appreciate. But yeah, the Kennywood Official on YouTube, and then on Twitter is the one that's really different. It's Kenny_Kangaroo, and that's where you can find the man himself, Kenny Kangaroo, tweeting and talking.
I love it. Awesome, Nick. Well, thank you so much for your time. After you visit Kennywood.com, make sure you check out Coaster101.com. Type Kennywood in the search bar. We've got some really good articles that we've written over the years about Steel Curtain, about Steelers Country, about what's good for families to do at Kennywood. All sorts of different good articles there. We are also on all the social media channels at Coaster101, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have any weird underscores on Twitter, but it's just Coaster101. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure you're doing all of the other podcast buzzwords, liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, telling your friends to listen, because the more listeners we get, the great guests like Nick will continue to come on this show and tell us about all the great things going on at their respective parks or companies. As always, thanks to Justin Mabry of JM Music Design for our theme music. And being that this is the episode that drops right before Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and we will talk to you all soon. See ya.